Healthy Grants webinar. Today we're going to provide you with some information about these grants and as well as some tips for applying for our Every Kid Healthy grants. And of course this webinar is brought to you by Action for Healthy Kids. So today we have three presenters. My name is Heidi Knobloch and I am a school program manager for Action for Healthy Kids. The other two presenters with us today are Hannah Laughlin, our Senior Regional Manager of the Midwest and the Northwest, and Hannah Ramsland, Action for Healthy Kids' Indiana State Coordinator. So we'll go ahead and review some logistics before we get started. So once you're linked in, you'll see a control panel that's usually on the right-hand side of your screen. You can either call in via the telephone or you can use your speakers on your computer to listen to the presentation, but everyone's muted during the presentation to avoid static and background interference. There is a dialog box at the bottom of your control panel where you can type in questions as we're going along, and we'll do our best to take some time at the end of the presentation to answer those, or certainly via email following the webinar if we don't get to them. And just so you know, the webinar is being recorded, and links to the recording and to the handouts will be sent within a couple of business days, usually 2 to 3 business days after the webinar. So before we get started, let's take just a minute to review the webinar agenda. So as you can see on your screen today, we'll cover a number of different items. First, starting off with a little bit of background about Action for Healthy Kids. Then we'll give a general overview of the school grants for healthy kids that are available for next school year. We'll talk a little bit about the application process and then go over step by step, give you an overview of the grant application itself. We'll then talk about some important deadlines, give you some tips for applying so you can be successful, give you some example project ideas, talk a little bit about the technical assistance that Action for Healthy Kids provides for these grants, and then of course, as I mentioned earlier, we'll take some time for questions and answers. So please enter your questions in as they come throughout the presentation. So before we talk about the grants, let's take a few minutes just to talk a little bit about Action for Healthy Kids. So I'd like to give you a little bit of background. So Action for Healthy Kids fights childhood obesity, undernourishment, and physical inactivity by helping schools become healthier places. That's our overall mission, and we're really made up of moms, dads, teachers, students, schools, community leaders, really anyone who has a passion around health and wellness or who's a school wellness expert who've banded together to create healthier learning environments for our children. And ultimately, what we believe is that everyone has a part to play in ending the nation's childhood obesity epidemic, and our programs, tools, and resources are a few things that help make that possible. So we were founded in 2002, about 13 years ago, by former Surgeon General David Satcher, and today we have more than 80,000 members across the country. We also partner with dozens of professional associations, government agencies, and corporations at both the national level and the local level as well. And our ultimate goal is really to create those school communities where children know how to make healthy choices from the minute that they walk in the front door to the minute that they leave at the end of the school day. So why schools? Well, we know that schools are neither the cause nor the solution for America's childhood obesity epidemic. We know that schools show kids how the world should be. Schools also provide that institutional approval for many behaviors related to food choices and to physical activity. And then we also know that schools are made up of role models, teachers, administrators, school staff. All of those are key role models in the lives of children. And then finally, we know that schools show kids what we value and what's important in our community. And then ultimately, school policies, school activities, school programs, school practices, all of those things reinforce the behaviors our children are learning. So what is school wellness then? So school wellness is that belief that schools can and must promote and reinforce healthy eating, physical activity, nutrition education, and physical education in order to increase student achievement. So while the promotion of health behaviors, of course, is a key component, it's also key to recognize that the benefit to all of this is really increasing student achievement and making sure that students can succeed in school. So here at Action for Healthy Kids, we practice a 3-step approach to help meet people where they are and then also to provide those opportunities to get involved at various levels. So the first step in this approach is to learn. So Action for Healthy Kids works to reach individuals to increase familiarity of issues around childhood obesity, physical inactivity, undernourishment, healthy eating, that kind of thing, also to educate individuals on these issues, and then help people understand how they themselves can combat childhood obesity in their own communities. So that's the first step, to learn. The second step is really around acting. So Action for Healthy Kids helps put schools in a place where that they can create action plans to make change in their schools, where they can mobilize volunteers to increase the capacity of their school wellness initiatives. And then Action for Healthy Kids also helps schools establish programs so that they can engage kids in healthy eating and physical activity. So that's the second piece of around action. And the third piece is really around transforming. So our goal at Action for Healthy Kids is to transform school environments through programming and volunteers so that schools can improve physical fitness of kids in their building, improve school nutrition, and then ultimately fight childhood obesity. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Hannah Laughlin, and she can talk a little bit more about our School Grants for Healthy Kids program.
Thanks, Heidi. So we're going to talk about our School Grants for Healthy Kids applications, which are currently open, which is really exciting. They opened the first week of March, and we're going to quickly go over just kind of the general information around all of our grants, and then we're going to focus in really on the Every Kid Healthy grants. So our School Grants for Healthy Kids program for the 2015-2016 school year, Action for Healthy Kids will award over 1,000 schools. Approximately 300 of these grants will be Every Kid Healthy grants, which is the topic of the call today. The general range of the grants is $1,000 to $2,500. We will have some $500 grants that are sustainability grants, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into the grant specifics. And Action for Healthy Kids provides grants to K-12 schools. We do that through working with teachers, PTAs, PTOs, school health teams, school wellness teams, but we do only award grants to K-12 schools. So if you're a community partner or a nonprofit organization that works in those schools, we do encourage you to work with your partner school to submit an application, but you do need to know that the application does need to come from the school itself, and the money will be awarded to the school itself. So if you have a partnership with that school where you can make that work, we do encourage you to still apply, but it is important to know that our grants are specifically for schools. During the current grant cycle, we have 4 different grants available. 3 of those grants are breakfast grants. We have a school breakfast expansion and a district breakfast expansion grant, which are available to all states in the United States. And then we have a universal and an alternative breakfast grant, which are only available to specific states. So there are 20 states that are eligible for those universal grants, and you should check out our school grants website to learn more about any of those breakfast-funded opportunities. Our Every Kid Healthy grants are grants that previously at Action for Healthy Kids we have called physical activity grants, but this year we have changed them to be called Every Kid Healthy grants because on top of the on top of the physical activity component, we're giving you the option of also including a nutrition component because we really want these grants to be focused on healthy schools and healthy kids as opposed to just getting kids moving more. So right before the call, I downloaded the list of registrants, and I noticed that we did have some of our attendees register for this call from states that were not eligible for the Every Kid Healthy grant. So it's really important that you listen right now. There are 13 states, all of them are east of the Mississippi, that are eligible for these grants. Alabama, Washington, D.C., Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, North Carolina, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. So unfortunately at this time, we only have these Every Kid Healthy grants available in these 13 states. If you're not located in one of these 13 states, we do encourage you to apply for a breakfast grant or connect with your state coordinator or your state team about future opportunities. But at this time, we only have these states available. We oftentimes get questions about why were these 13 states selected. Our funding partner for our Every Kid Healthy grants is CSX Transportation, which is the railroad company that is located east of the Mississippi. So you'll notice that all 13 of these states are east of the Mississippi. In addition, we took the states east of the Mississippi and looked at Action for Healthy Kids and determined the strength of our state team, the strength of our relationships with schools, childhood obesity statistics, and other information to narrow it down to these 13 states. Since 2013, when we started these grants, we only had 10 states. We've slowly been able to add 3 more states, and our goal is to increase the number of states that these are eligible for in the future. But at this time, for this current school year, only these 13 states are eligible. So again, Alabama, D.C., Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, North Carolina, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. So please, if you're in those 13 states, continue listening and we will tell you more. So like I mentioned before, Every Kid Healthy grants are really the same thing as our old physical activity grants with an optional nutrition component that you can add on or not. And really we're giving you that option because we want your school to become recognized as a health-promoting school. We're going to tell you what that means a little bit more later, but the purpose of these grants are physical activity, nutrition, and then to become a health-promoting school. Our grants range in size from $500 to $2,500 this year, with the majority of schools receiving $1,000. Schools that have been funded in previous years, so if this is the second year that you've been funding with us, are eligible for a $500 sustainability grant. If you're a new school with us, you will be eligible for an $1,000 or a $2,500 grant. If you have been working with Action for Healthy Kids in the past and you are interested in applying for a grant, but you would like to be considered for a larger grant amount, you should know that all schools, including previously funded schools, are considered for all grant amounts. You will receive, be more likely to receive a $500 sustainability grant if you're working on the same project or based on the strength of your application. So if you have a new project and a really strong application and a strong need, you will be considered for a higher dollar amount. The impacts of these grants are schools must increase physical activity opportunities to 30 minutes per day. So we're going to ask you how many minutes of physical activity you have in your building, and we either want you to have at least 30 or to be working on just increasing that number in general. We know that schools can get this number through get to physical activity, get to 30 minutes a day through a number of different avenues, which we're going to tell you about in a minute. But this doesn't have to be specific to the program that you're applying for grant for. It can also include recess, PE minutes, before and after school programming, walking and biking to school, any component of kind of your comprehensive school physical activity plan. What we really want to ensure is that you are working to get the average child in your school moving more through these grants. Like I mentioned, you also have the opportunity to add on an optional school nutrition component. So that school nutrition initiative that's going to advance your school nutrition environment, whether that's nutrition education, something to do with your school gardens. But again, this is optional. So if you really want to just focus on that physical activity, you can do that. You do have that option. Everyone, all of our grant-funded schools will be required to provide information to both students and parents on the importance of physical activity and healthy eating. So sharing that message not only with your students, but also your parent community on why healthy students are important to your school and kind of the benefits of being healthy. And then all grant-funded schools will be required to work towards healthy school certification, whether that's through the USDA's Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge or the Alliance for a Healthier Generation's Healthy School Program. You're going to be provided one-on-one technical assistance from our Action for Healthy Kids state coordinators on your readiness to apply or changes that you can make over the school year to be more ready to apply. Because at Action for Healthy Kids, we believe that every school should be recognized as health certifying when you're putting the time and the effort into those initiatives. So some project ideas. Like I said, Every Kid Healthy grants are physical activity grants with an optional nutritional component to support being recognized as a health-promoting school. So I'm going to give you some ideas for kind of all the components that are wrapped up in that. The physical activity part, the nutrition part, and the health promoting part. So on the screen, you'll see a list of kind of the different categories of physical activity initiatives that we provide. Outdoor active recess, indoor active recess, place-based refurbishing, physical education equipment, gym refurbishing, brain breaks, classroom physical activity, before or after school, fitness assessments or testing, walking and biking to school, or any other initiative that you have in mind for your school that will help get kids moving more. The nice thing about our Every Kid Healthy grants is we really want to meet you where you are as a school. So what do you need to help get your kids moving more? Do you need more equipment? Do you need recess ideas? Do you need before and after school programming? Do you want to start a walking club? We want to do we want to provide funding to you to do what you need to do at your school to get kids moving more. We don't want to tell you what program to use or what equipment you need. We want to hear what you have, and we're going to fund the most creative and innovative ideas that influence the most kids and get kids moving as much as possible. So you also have an optional nutrition component that you can add in. We're looking to fund nutrition education, school gardens, competitive foods or smart snacks programming, salad bars, smarter lunchroom work, healthy fundraising, healthy classroom celebration work. So again, really anything that you can think of that's innovative and a positive way to get your students eating more healthy foods, we want to hear about it. So make sure that in your application, you're giving us a really thorough description of your physical activity and your nutrition initiative so that we can understand exactly what it is that you're going to do, and so we understand exactly how it's going to make kids in your school healthier. And then kind of the third part of those grants, to support becoming recognized as a health-promoting school. We're encouraging all schools to be recognized through the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge Smarter Lunchroom Initiative or the Alliance for a Healthier Generation's Healthy Schools program. And these are voluntary certification programs that really recognize excellence in school nutrition and physical activity. It's consistent with the USDA school lunch and school breakfast program, and there are different award levels that your school can receive. And why do we think that's important? We think it's important because we want your school to receive national recognition for the work that we're doing, that you're doing. We want you to be recognized and celebrated for it. We want you to get positive publicity around it. It's a big deal to receive a national recognition. So you might be the first school in your district or a school that has a great story to tell about their health and wellness, and you can receive some positive PR around your work. It helps build school spirit, cooperation, and you can display some of the banners and plaques that are awarded as a symbol of your achievement. The Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge Initiative in particular, you will receive an additional financial incentive between $500 and $2,000 based on kind of the level of award that you're eligible for that you can use to continue your health and wellness work. So it really helps you to sustain the programs that you're working on with Action for Healthy Kids in the future years. It also helps to build support and momentum around your school wellness work. Like I said, can you compete with other schools in your district to see who can get certified first, to get certified at a higher level? Can you engage your parents in this conversation and say, hey, we want to go for this national recognition, and we believe in healthy kids and the work and the support that it provides to our school. So we want to engage you in this and make it a conversation that becomes exciting for the whole school as you challenge your school and your school community to reach the certification requirements. It supports the learning connection. So here at Action for Healthy Kids, we believe that healthy kids learn better. We know that the research points to that. It shows that kids that have good foods and active bodies are better equipped for success than kids that don't. We know that kids that are physically active score higher on standardized tests. We know that kids that eat school breakfast have increased attention and learning span. So really, we know that healthy schools are an important component of a school that's doing well academically. We know that education is focused on reading, writing, and arithmetic, and that sometimes health and wellness is not a priority. But by putting health and wellness as a priority, you're really recognizing that academic achievement is linked to health, and you're benefiting your kids in the long term. And being nationally recognized means that you'll be a leader in the efforts to end childhood obesity, and that your school will be recognized for the work that you're doing around those efforts. So it's a great thing to get involved with. I'm now going to turn it over to Hannah Ramslin, who's our Indiana State Coordinator, who's going to tell you a little bit more about some of the projects that her schools in Indiana are working on this in this current school year, so that we can have a better idea of some creative things that schools are doing to get kids moving more and to support every kid being healthy.
Thank you, Hannah, and thank you, everyone, for being on the call today. Like Hannah said, one of the best things about this grant is that we want to meet each school where they are, and we know that each school out there is unique, and you know really what works best at your school. So given the grant parameters, we kind of set the tone, and then you kind of tell us what it is that you can do that will be helpful. So what I'm about to share with you today are just a few ideas and success stories that have happened within the state of Indiana over the past few years. And we've had some great ideas come in. And as you read and look through grants, you know that it is, each school is unique, and it really shows throughout that grant process. So I just highlighted a few of the physical activity topics or classifications, and I'm going to kind of walk through each one. So we've seen a lot of success in before and after school activities and clubs. One school in Lafayette, Indiana, they have an elementary school where students were lining up in the gymnasium 20 minutes before the school bell rang every day by grade, and they just sat there. And there were behavioral issues sometimes and discipline issues, and it was just kind of this unfilled time that was very unproductive, and the PE teacher implemented what she calls Project Stretch and Go, and every morning before school, you'll see the picture on the far right side of the slide. That's the picture of Project Stretch and Go. The kids are active. They still line up by grade, but they do different activities, and it's highlighted there in the projection screen, and the kids get all their wiggles out before the beginning of the school day, and the classroom teachers are reporting that there's a lot more attention span starting the school day than there was previously. So that's been a really neat success story that's come out of our Hoosier State. Another one of our large urban districts in Indianapolis, the public school system there, they do a lot of before and after school programming, and one of their most successful ones comes from a running club that they do every day after school, and a lot of schools participate in this running club. It's not just a one school. Many schools per district participate, and they participate in the fall and the spring in various runs throughout the city. One is the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon, which is a half marathon and a 5K, and the children in the running club obviously learn and train to do the 5K throughout the fall, and then in early November run and participate and really have a great time and earn medals, and really just learn about kind of goal setting and how, you know, lifelong healthy lifestyles are going to lead to a much better life. So a lot of success coming out of there. We also see some success coming from other after-school activities and clubs like dance clubs, which just gets some different type of activities in front of children that they may not normally have, as well as clubs that have a focus on gardening also, which might be a neat spin this year given that we have the nutrition component that is part of the grant that you can also relate to, you know, physical activity and gardening by planting the garden and doing squats at the same time and talking about how, you know, the vegetables are grown and then prepared for you at your table. So it could be a really neat link there for a gardening club after school if you've got the capabilities of doing that. Next we show a lot of success in the classroom physical activity and what we call brain breaks. You'll see in the bottom left-hand picture, that's one of our schools doing their brain breaks. But there's various online tools that are free that classroom teachers can use to get those small little bursts of activity throughout the day. But I do know that some of our schools use some tools such as Go Noodle and Minds in Motion. But we really see that those short minute bursts of activity really help the kids get their wiggles out during the day and give them that attention span that they need to help learn and be successful learners. We also have seen that some of our schools are having a lot of success with ways to track activity, whether that be through pedometers or some sort of other electronic device, maybe such as a Fitbit, where it really creates this neat kind of classroom healthy competition in each of the schools where, maybe they're walking to Disney World or walking around the world, and it's really kind of creates that healthy competition between the school to see which classroom can actually take most steps every day or throughout the week or month, etc. So a neat way to kind of help promote activity as well as healthy competition. We've also seen some schools take away the traditional desk chairs and replace it with stability or balance balls. You'd be surprised that I've seen success at a kindergarten level as well as junior high and high school level. You would think that kids aren't equipped to handle it from a young age, but once they're kind of trained to do so, there was a specific school in Indiana that saw that their first grade class had less interruptions throughout the school day and school week, given when they implemented the stability ball. So a really neat initiative there, and a lot of schools in Indiana are doing that. We also have a school down in Bloomington, Indiana, who a lot of their students have various learning and behavior disabilities and disorders, as well as dyslexia, and they've created a yoga initiative there that they do. They worked up to every day. They used to do it about 2 or 3 times a week. But all their students are receiving yoga that often, almost daily, and it's really cut back on some of their issues that they're having and really taught the kids how to kind of relax and, again, kind of work out their bodies in a way that they normally wouldn't during the school day. So just be creative and think through things that may be different for your school or might be beneficial, and it might, the kids will really catch on. Another initiative that we've seen a lot of success with is the outdoor active recess. And we've had a local school. You'll see in the middle picture, that is a picture, if you have not heard of Gaga Ball, that is a picture of a Gaga pit that was done in Lafayette, Indiana. It's, I think it's referred to as Israeli dodgeball, but it's traditional dodgeball, but it's only played from the knees down. So this is an example of how they took a nice space and made it into something that the kids could play on their own, and it doesn't need much instruction or much help, that the kids can go out, and you'll see kids playing this, even on the nights and weekends when school isn't in session. So it's a really nice addition to their outside recess area. There's also been a school that has had some success using a program called Peaceful Playgrounds. It's a program that helps you install permanent games within a blacktop area. I think it's over 100 games that you can install and paint on that are always there. And so kids, during and after the school day can always come and play on the playground and learn about different ways to be socially kind of independent on the playground. And then you'll have place-based refurbishing, which is pretty self-explanatory. But if you have, a junky piece of concrete that keeps, being a safety hazard that needs to be refurbished there, this would be, a way to seek out funding to help with that. Or if you need new basketball goals inside your gymnasium or new paint, there's always options for that, as well as any type of physical education equipment that you might be needing. We have a local school that'll be opening new in the fall, and they just are really getting started, and they need some help with just getting some physical activity equipment in that they don't, currently have in the budget. So I believe they're going to write a grant for that. So again, there are so many different ideas and successes out there. So I encourage those of you who are in a state that this funding is available for to reach out to your state coordinator like myself, each one of you has those in your area, to really talk through some ideas or successes and get some feedback before you write your grant. We can help you do that. We'd be glad to do that. So thanks again for being on the call. And if you're in Indiana, please contact me later and let me know how I can help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Those are great ideas. And like Hannah said, in the follow-up email, you'll receive the link to your state coordinator's information so that you can connect directly with them. And they are great resources across the country to help you kind of brainstorm innovative and fun ideas for your application, and also assist you in putting that application together, as they are the first round of reviewers as well. So it's good to get to know them and have them get to know you. Another component of our national grant program is Every Kid Healthy Week. So all of our awarded schools across the country will join the 2016 Every Kid Healthy Week. We are in the midst right now of planning our 2015 Every Kid Healthy Week and working with schools across the country to get engaged and get their events planned. So just an opportunity in the month of April to host a celebration that engages family and community in your health and wellness work. We have a variety of different events happening across the country. And this is really a very fun component of all of the grants that we fund. And our state coordinators will be more than happy to help you talk about your Every Kid Healthy Week event as well if you have any questions on that. So tips for applying. One thing I have not said yet is the great thing about our Every Kid Healthy grant is that any school can apply. You do not have to be a certain enrollment size or a certain free and reduced percentage. Any school, public, private, urban, rural, big, small, high free and reduced, low free and reduced, can apply for our grants. We want to get as many applications as we can from as diverse of a school database as we can get. So as long as you're a school in one of our 13 eligible states, we do encourage you to apply. Here are some other tips. Make sure that your description clearly describes what your school is currently doing and what you hope to do. Let us know what the project is going to do to change your school environment so that we have a better understanding of what we're funding. Don't forget about your sustainability plan. We want to make sure that this isn't just a project that's going to happen for one school year and then be forgotten about. So do make sure that you're thinking about in the future how you will sustain your health and wellness initiatives that this grant is supporting. Your school can apply for both a breakfast and Every Kid Healthy Physical Activity grant. So if you're in one of our 13 eligible states for an Every Kid Healthy grant, you also can apply for a breakfast grant for your school as well. And make sure that your Every Kid Healthy Week project is innovative and fun. We want to, or not your Every Kid Healthy Week, just your Every Kid Healthy grant project is innovative and fun, like I've been saying, and you heard Hannah Ramsland say. We want to support your school to do something to ensure that every kid is healthy. We want to meet your school where you are, and we want to make sure that kids understand that being active and being healthy is something that can be integrated into their everyday life and doesn't have to be something that they dread or they worry about. Budget suggestions. So every application that comes in for the Every Kid Healthy Week grant, you're required to submit a budget for $1,000. Even though I said that you have the option of getting $2,500, you have to submit a budget for $1,000. There's a question after the budget question that says, if you received a larger grant award, what would you do? And you'll have an opportunity to explain that out. Make sure that you're entering $1,000 into the grant system because our grant portal will not accept funds over the grant amount. So it has to be for $1,000. Equipment should be reflected in the project. So if you tell me in the budget that you're going to buy soccer balls and in your grant description it says nothing about soccer, I'm going to have to question why you're buying soccer balls that don't support the description that you gave. So make sure that they do match. Funds cannot be used for staffing. So we can't provide staffing stipends for before and after school programs or anything like that. So make sure that you're finding other ways to cover those staffing costs as you're submitting the grant. Our grants are dispersed in 2 payments. At the beginning of the school year, you'll get 65% of your grant award. After you submit the midterm report in January, you'll get 35% of the award. So you are required to submit your grant budget through our portal in that format so that you understand that you do need to work through your timeline and your budget based on fund availability. If the project that you're proposing requires more funding than our grant provides, please indicate how you'll get that funding. From other grant funding, from the food services budget, things like that. If you're trying to build a whole playground, our $2,500 grant isn't going to get you all the way there. So let us know who else you're going to be working with and asking money for so that we can determine if we have a good partnership. And the total awards of our grants is from $500 to $2,500 in funds and promotional items. So if you're awarded a $1,000 grant, you're actually going to get a check in 2 installments for $900. We're going to mail you $100 worth of physical activity and nutrition promotional items that will help support your grant. So do make sure that you have an understanding of that as well. As you're entering your budget into the grant portal, it will already have $100 allocated for that. So you just need to keep in mind that you need to make sure that your budget adds up to a total of $1,000, including that $100 award for promotional items, which we are going to send to you. And what is Action for Healthy Kids going to do for you during these grants? I think the best part about these grants is the relationships that you get to build with our Action for Healthy Kids state coordinators. They are going to provide you with content-specific webinars, monthly newsletters with healthy school tips and grant reminders, expert assistance from not only our state coordinators but also our national staff, Heidi and myself included, connections to local resources for additional support, trainings for key grant team members and volunteers to ensure successful implementation and sustainability of your project, assistance with evaluation measures, and assistance with communication efforts. So you're signing up not only for the funding that's coming from Action for Healthy Kids, but also for the support that's coming through our national and our state team model, which is an awesome resource. So how do you apply? Let's go through these steps. We recommend that you complete the paper application first. It's going to be included in the follow-up email. It's on our website, and it's a Microsoft Word document that you can download and make sure that you get all of the answers exactly how you want them to be, and that they meet the character count requirements, and that you've consulted with everyone on your health team, and it's exactly how you want it to be. You might even also share that with your state coordinator and see if they have any feedback. Write that application as if the person reviewing it knew nothing about the issue or your school. Don't make any assumptions that we understand what you already have going on, or we know your school population, or we have heard of the program that you're going to use before. Make sure that you're outlining it completely so that we have all the details that we need when we're approving your grant. Consider having an external reviewer, someone other than yourself, read the application before you submit it. Just ask one of your colleagues and say, hey, I'm submitting this grant. Would you mind looking at the application quickly? It's a very short application. It's easy to read through in a very quick way. And just ask them if it makes sense or if they have any questions or comments or changes that they would suggest. Once you have done all of those things, you can submit the application in our online grant portal. We do not accept paper applications, so all of the applications that will be considered have to come through our online portal. Once you have that paper application complete, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to copy and paste the answers into our grant portal after you've set up your profile. So about 30 minutes total once you log in. So here's the full application process. Complete the paper application. Go to our school grants webpage, which is www.actionforhealthykids.org/resources/school-grants. Scroll to the bottom of that page and click on the Proceed to the Online Grant Portal link. Create a new username and password. Enter your zip code. Locate the school that you're going to start the application for. Choose the Every Kid Healthy grant. and enter your application. I know that was a lot, so let's go through it. You're going to click on the Apply for a Grant button, and it's going to take you to our online grant portal. This is what it's going to look like, as you see here on our page. We have a new grant portal this year. It was just launched at the beginning of March, correcting some of the issues that we've heard from you who are applying for sustainability grants have told us from before in the past. So it's a new grant portal. That means that every single one of you needs to create a new login. Even if you applied for a grant last year or the year before, you need to create a new login. You can use the same email. It won't care if you duplicate it. We just need you to create a new license type for our new portal. So you'll go to this page. You'll click on this down here under the login button, the Not a Member button, which now says Not Registered. And you'll enter this information. Super easy to register, first name, last name, email, and it's going to ask you to create a password. Here's a hint, write your password down. You're going to be taken to our home page of our grant portal once you log in. This is what it looks like. Super easy to use. We think it's a big improvement over our portal from previous years. And you're going to see this big button on the side that says Step 1, Affiliate with Schools. It's going to take you to your profile page, and it's going to ask you to enter your zip code here at the top, search for schools, and then it's going to give you a list of all the schools that are in your zip code. So another hint is to make sure that you're entering the school building zip code, not the zip code of where you live or where the administrative office is, but the zip code of the actual school. Enter it into that box. It's going to pop up this list. You can select which school you're affiliated with, or maybe you're going to submit more than one application, so you can select multiple schools. And then it's going to give you, it's going to move that school down here into your affiliated schools and districts list. Farther down that page is your personal profile information. So we do ask that you fill this out. You've already given us your first name and your last name. It'll be auto-populated as you create a login. Tell us why you're interested in Action for Healthy Kids, and tell us your address, and save it so that we have a complete profile of your information. Once all of that information is complete, you're going to click on the right-hand panel over here, the Grants tab, and it's going to take you to Step 2. As you're working on applications, you'll see this status update at the top of your page. If you have grants that are in progress, then you'll see them listed here. And if you've already submitted grants, you'll see them listed at the top. You can click on these icons and download your completed applications so that you can save them for your records. They're all there. But if you haven't started or completed a grant already, what you're going to see are the available grants. And right now we're talking about the Every Kid Healthy grant. So you'll come to this grants page, click on this Every Kid Healthy application, and it's going to take you into the application itself. You're going to see listed here from your affiliated schools which schools are eligible for this grant. You'll click one, move it over to the selected schools for this application, and click Next. Then it's going to give you the option to complete all of those application questions. So hopefully you've already completed the paper application, and you're just copying and pasting at this point until you get all the way to the bottom, click Submit, and you'll see that your grant was successfully submitted. So the new online portal does provide all of the steps that you need outlined clearly as you walk through it. If you have questions, your state coordinator is the best contact to answer those for you, or you can always email schoolgrants@Action for Healthy Kids. And again, all of that information will be included in the follow-up email. So what do you need to remember for now? You need to know that all of our applications are due on May 1st. We will not extend the deadline, so you do need to make sure that your application is in by midnight Eastern Time on May 1st. Schools will be awarded their new grants and will be notified of that award by May 29th, which is hopefully before you leave for the end of the current school year. And then you have 2 weeks after you receive their reward to submit an MOU, a Memo of Agreement, that includes your wellness survey or school health index and your 5-person wellness team. We do ask that you send that to us before you leave for summer break so that we can begin processing our technical assistance models and your first installment check, and really just verify that your school is going to be participating before you leave for the end of the school year. On September 9th, at the beginning of the school year, we'll have a webinar for all of our grant-funded schools to kick off the year and tell you more about the Action for Healthy Kids resources that you will receive. And then you have both a midterm and a final term report due in December and May of 2016. For now, most important date for you to remember is May 1st, is that application deadline. So Heidi, what questions have we received on our Every Kid Healthy grant?
We have a number of questions. So first, we had a question about working at an early childhood charter school that has grades pre-K3, pre-K4, and kindergarten. So is that individual eligible to apply for a grant because it includes kindergarten or not?
So because it includes kindergarten, you are eligible to apply. You'll have to know that because you have grades outside of our grant range, that will be considered as well. So as we're reviewing the strength of the application, because you only have one grade that is kind of in our target range, it might cause you to have a weaker review.
Okay, great. The next question is around physical activity minutes. So the question is, if we are already getting 30 minutes of physical activity each day, should the grant show that we are guaranteeing that all kids get an additional 30 minutes daily or just more minutes daily?
That's a good question. So you don't have to receive an additional 30 minutes daily. We want you to be providing at least 30 during the school day. If you're already doing that before you apply, what we do ask that you do is just tell us in your grant application how you're going to continue to increase those minutes over the next school year with this grant. So it does not require an additional 30, but we do want you to increase them.
Great. And then another question around participation rate. So is there a minimum participation rate that the school must achieve? So for example, how many students should a school try to affect? Will they be penalized if the school only reaches a small portion of the school's population?
So you won't necessarily be penalized, and it comes back to the strength of that application. Obviously, our goal will be to fund initiatives that reach every school in the building. We do, however, as Hannah Ransman mentioned in Indiana, we funded stability balls for classrooms that do influence a smaller number of students. Our goal with that, though, is that you do tell us in your sustainability section on how you would expand that initiative to influence the larger school body in the future if this is kind of a pilot year that is influencing a smaller number.
Okay, great. A couple more questions that have been coming in. One is around applying for multiple schools. Is it necessary to submit an application separately for each school?
Yeah, so our new grant portal for our breakfast grants has the opportunity for districts to submit a breakfast application for multiple schools and then just answer a couple of questions around school differences. I didn't turn that option on for Every Kid Healthy grants because really what we're looking for is innovative grants across the board. So for these grants, you do have to apply individually by school. Our recommendation, again, would be that you complete the paper application, and then you just have to quickly copy and paste it into the portal. So if you're applying for the same program for multiple schools, you just need to make sure that the couple of individual school-level questions, like the name of the principal, the name of the PE teacher, the number of physical activity minutes, those school-specific questions are answered differently, and then you can submit the same language for all of the other ones, but you do have to do it individually by school. Again, my recommendation would be that you don't submit the same application across the board because we really are interested in working with schools on really innovative projects and that they, even if you kind of give them initial idea, that they take it and kind of make it their own so that we have a better understanding of why we should fund one school over another if it comes to that.
Okay, great. Thank you. A couple of questions about sustainability grants. First, is there a place in the application to indicate that the school is applying for a sustainability grant? And then related, the question about the promotional materials. If they only receive $500, will the same amount of promotional materials amount come out of that grant?
Good, really good question. So you don't have to indicate anywhere on the application. Our online system will kind of check a box on the back end to say you were funded in a previous year, and we'll be able to pull that in on our reports. So we'll be able to know that you previously were funded with us under these grants, and we'll be able to consider that. For $500 schools, for those of you that are sustainability schools, you actually won't get promotional items because you received them in previous years. So you will have access to 100% of that $500 budget.
Okay, great. Filtering through a couple of other questions that have come in. We have a couple of questions around timing. So one was, can the grant be used to support a school's summer program if it relates to physical activity?
It cannot. It needs to be for the 2015-2016 school year.
Great. And then a related question, we had a question from a school that was asking what to do if their school is out before the reporting is due, if their school year ends before the reports are due. Are they still eligible to apply? And if so, how does that work?
You are still eligible to apply. We do ask as you're submitting your application that you provide us your school-based email and an alternative email if you're the primary grant contact, so that if you're already out of school, we can follow up with you on a personal email so that we can still connect with you. You will know our state coordinator, hopefully, from submitting an application or working with them previously, and you can let that person know, that kind of state-level contact who's going to be your day-to-day technical assistance provider around these grants. Hey, I'm out of school early. Can you make sure that this comes to my personal email and that you'll work on it? We do require that you commit to submitting them on the deadline, so even if you are out of school, that you'll make arrangements to submit them while you're out and kind of communicate through a personal email.
Great, thank you. So we have just a couple more questions. One is around recommendations for purchasing the best tools and equipment to get schools started. So if you or if Hannah Ramsden have a couple of recommendations for where schools can purchase equipment that you could share.
So we don't promote specific equipment at Action for Healthy Kids because we have partnerships with lots of different vendors and lots of different programs. If you're looking for equipment around a specific program, or you're looking specifically to say, I'm interested in starting an after-school program or starting a brain break program, something like that, you can connect with your state coordinator who can give you suggestions of what other schools have done in the past, but we can't give you a recommendation on a specific vendor or a specific program because we have lots that we work with. I would suggest that you go to actionforhealthykids.org and go to our Tools for Schools tab and look through our Game On program. We have 35 easy-to-use Eat Better, Move More challenges. And within a lot of those challenges, you'll see some of the great resources that we partner with across the country. So if you're interested in brain breaks and integrating those and looking for some equipment or some resources around those, if you go to our brain breaks challenge in Game On, you can see some of the suggested programs that we use there for that, or you can connect with your state coordinator, like I said, and they can give you some suggestions of what other schools have worked through.
Great, thank you. So that's all the questions that we have right now, Hannah.
Awesome, thanks, Heidi. So as I've been mentioning, each state has a state coordinator. That each of the eligible 13 states does have a state coordinator. I will be including that contact list in the follow-up from this live session, or you can contact school grants at actionforhealthykids.org. Our preference is that you start with your state coordinator, and if you send an email to school grants, we will send it back to that state coordinator to follow up with you. You can find that list, and like I said, I'll include this in the follow-up email about it on our website. If you go to actionforhealthykids.org, if you go to About Us and then Our Teams, you can see our state coordinators here. So all of our state coordinators have their phone number and their email listed out here. So it's really easy for you to just connect with them, learn a little bit more about them. There's Hannah Ramsden, who was so nice to join our call today to tell us about her work. But you can hook up with somebody in your state, call them, email them directly, and get some ideas. So thank you for joining us today and on our Action for Healthy Kids Tips for Applying Every Kid Healthy Grant webinar. As I mentioned, if you have any questions, please follow up with your state coordinator. They can connect with Heidi and I if they have additional questions that they don't know the answers to. Their information will be included in the follow-up email, as well as the recording for this webinar, the slides, the paper application, and the link to our grant portal. So we do encourage you to look through all of those things, start a paper application today, and we look forward to seeing all of your applications after May 1st. We wish you the best of luck in your grant writing, and can't wait to see the ideas that you're going to share with us. And I wanted to again thank CSX Transportation, who is the funder of our Every Kid Healthy grants, for the support that they give us at Action for Healthy Kids and allow us to share that support with you as your schools in 13 states. So thank you for joining us today. We hope that you have a wonderful end of the day, and we look forward to having your application and hearing more from you. Have a great day, everyone.